Hey everyone, it's Michael Goosebumps fan. As you can see, this camera position's a little bit different than what it usually is. My wife is upstairs sleeping, she's not really feeling good, and since she's upstairs in the bedroom, I figured, I'd just leave that room alone, just kind of let her have the floor to herself. When I'm down here, of course it's like 5 a.m. right now, having a really hard night of sleep, I decided to just get up, do some recording for this channel, for my other channel, maybe a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to like the videos or not, I might not even upload this. But anyway, here is a kind of a new setup, my DVDs, my Goosebumps stuff over here, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, this review, of course, is for my next to last. I'm almost done with this series, this era of Goosebumps. I'm down to my, last 13 books to review for the channel before I'm done. By the way, it's raining outside. If you hear a lot of pitter-patter stuff on the camera or background noise, it's probably that. It probably could be the vent from the heat running, I don't know. But anyway, just want to make sure you knew about that. So, it being very late at night, it's kind of quiet outside, but the rain, it's been pretty peaceful and relaxful today, man. I actually took a really long nap earlier because I was just out of it. It's been that kind of day. Anyway, this is another TV book to review. This one is actually Goosebumps Presents TV Episode, which is like the first title they used for TV books. Number 2, the second one ever put out. This one is the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. This one's very beloved, at least the original book is. Of course, just in case you don't know what this is, these TV books essentially are about 60 pages long, and they're typically, as I try to make sure everybody knows in every single review I do for one of these, in case anybody happens to stumble across one of these reviews and doesn't know what these books are, they're typically novelizations of the episodes that were adapted from the original R.L. Stine books. Stine doesn't write these, pretty much any of them. This one is actually adapted by Carol Ellis, who does a ton of these. From the teleplay by Billy Brown and Dan Angel, based on the novel by I almost said Stephen King, R.L. Stine. Let me tell you this first and foremost. The Cuckoo Clock of Doom, really good book. I think the original book is probably my favorite of the stories, or of the adaptations and the original and all that. I think I like that the most. I like the TV episode too, but I think the TV episode to me, even though this is basically the exact same thing being adapted from its script, I think I like this TV book more than I like the episode, even though they're pretty similar. Aside from one particular scene, it was a nightmare sequence, which is pretty cool. And again, this is about 60 pages long. It flies by. I read it in no time today. I try to get a lot of these done and out of the way. But as I said, we're very close to finishing up this series of the TV books. I have one more left that's called Let's Get Invisible. I can't wait to read that one. I really like the episode for that, and I love the original book. But anyway, the Cuckoo Clock of Doom is essentially about a young man named Michael who is in a house right around the time, I think it was right after his birthday, his 12th birthday. He has a little sister named Tara who's just a brat, She's not horrible. I believe in the original book, I think she was worse than she is in this actual TV book, or in the episode. But I could be wrong about what I'm remembering of that. But Tara is kind of a spoiled, rotten brat. And the biggest thing with Michael, who is one of the few Goosebumps characters I remember the name of after reading this, because obviously we have the same name. Michael is a little of a curious kid. His dad buys a cuckoo clock, a big old grandfather clock with a cuckoo bird thing in it that shoots out, at certain times. And his dad gets one, finally, from an antique shop that's ran by a man named Anthony. After many years of eyeballing it, the thing's been sitting around forever, so he's kind of like, I'll go ahead and grab it. I've always wanted this. And as soon as he brings it home, everybody starts wanting to mess with it. When I say everybody, I mean Michael and his sister Tara want to mess with it. He immediately tells them flat out, I want you both to get away from this. I don't want you anywhere near this thing, basically. Now, Michael, to try to prank his sister Tara, who his parents don't really punish as often, basically, who gets away with a lot of things, being the younger sister, he essentially grabs the cuckoo bird when it shoots out at a certain time, and he twists the head backwards on it. He goes to bed that night, really excited to see what's going to happen, what Tara gets blamed for. And then, when he wakes up the next morning, even though it's been 3 or 4 days since his previous birthday party, when he turned 12, now it's his birthday party again. His parents are hanging up the banner, they're talking to him, and he thinks that's a bit strange. He feels a very deja vu feeling. And things go about the exact same as they did that day a few days before. Well, then he wakes up the next morning. He's a lot younger. So as you can tell, it's kind of like an anti-time story, like a time travel story, but an anti-time travel story. It just slowly goes backwards in his life, and he's kind of in a time loop type of thing. He's running out of time to try to grab the cuckoo bird and turn its head back around, and he kind of goes in panic mode over that. It's a little tense. It has some decent tension to it, I think. It's well written. It feels like R.L. Stine himself actually wrote the book, even though he didn't. Carol Ellis always does a really good job. I think of all the TV book writers, she might be my favorite. She always did a really good job with this as I've reviewed these here on the channel. A lot of them recently when I've tried to get these TV books over with. It's a fun read. It has a lot going for it. I think it's, even though it's kind of a goofier, sillier type of story, a lot of people really love Cuckoo Clock of Doom. The original book, the episode, this, mainly the original book, and I don't blame them. That is the best for my personal taste. But I really think that all of the stories, with that kind of a sillier storyline, they do very well at it. Every execution I've seen of this story has done very well of that, in my personal opinion. I think it really lands every single time, pretty much. Even the ending of this TV book, which again is pretty much identical to the episode. I keep trying to say movie. Even though it's pretty much identical to the actual episode, I really like that too. I think it ends in a great way. I think it's a funny, humorous brother-sister jab type of thing. I think everybody, even though I'm a single kid, everybody like my wife, who would be someone who has brothers and sisters, I think they would laugh about it because of the way it ends. But overall, it's got some tension with that whole, you don't know how long Michael has until he's going to be, like, unborn, basically. Like, it could be a little bit of a dangerous time for this particular kid. But I'll tell you this, I had a good time reading it. As I said, it's pretty fun for what it is. It's short, it flies by. The original book is better, but this is good for what it is. As I like to mention too a lot of the time, I don't think I have the best lighting right now. I kind of like the way this looks. There is a lamp that's behind the camera, a little bit away, but the bulb I have in it buzzes a lot. And it kind of makes everything look washed out when I had it on. And I was like, you know, I don't really like that. I kind of like the darker look that this video has. It's going to make it harder though on the future videos that I do on another channel, the other channel I talk about a lot, Strange Michael, where I kind of plan on migrating to when this channel is done for the most part. But that is another story for another day. I'm not really sure 100% what I'm going to do, but that might be it. That particular lamp could be a problem. You know, I might have to find a new bulb or a different type of lamp or something that's nearby, because if I'm in this corner right here and I have to read anything, it could be a problem. But what I'm getting to with that, the point I bring that up for, is that in these Goosebumps TV books, episode books, whatever you'd like to call them, they typically have about 8 pages that are colorized photos with some backgrounds and designs and swirls and that kind of thing on the pages. A lot of the photos are typically blurry. I don't know if I can do justice by showing this to you. I don't think these photos are actually as blurry as some of the previous ones I've reviewed. They're a little overexposed, but it kind of just looks like the TV show in general. Let's see if I can find a really good one. Okay, these are pretty much a really good example of what I'm talking about. But again, you might not be able to see it. It might not look as blurry as it does in the other videos I've done previously to this over the past couple of weeks when I've been reviewing a lot of TV books. I think it's pretty important to mention it, though. As you read these bubbles of words underneath these photos for these 8 pages, you have you run a possibility you could spoil a lot of the book, because this whole 8 pages thing shows up in the dead middle of the book. If you happen to be reading this, if this ever happens to be your first ever exposure to Cuckoo Clock of Doom or any Goosebumps book, be wary of that, because it will spoil those things for you if you haven't seen the episode or if you haven't read the books or anything. Of course, some episodes are very different from the original book, so that can be a problem for you if you haven't seen the episodes yet. Not like Goosebumps here in America actually has a box set, it doesn't, which is ridiculous now that Disney owns it. Anyway, moving along to the photos themselves, this is a great example. I don't think on the camera here they look as blurry. Maybe this one down here with the cake on the face thing. But they look decent, and I think it's because of the lighting in this room, just in case you don't know. But again, I don't think they look as horrible or as blurry as a lot of the photos on the previous TV books I've reviewed recently. All that being said, though, when it comes to Goosebumps Presents TV episode or TV book, if you want to call it that, which they kind of rebrand to that a few books down the road, number 2, The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Have you read it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down in the comment section down below about this book. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, as much as I enjoyed it, it's not really my favorite thing ever. I do think the original book is a lot better than this, even though this was good. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I think it's fine. I think it's cool. It's pretty silly, but it's a fun silly. It's actually pretty smart about knowing what it is, embracing what it is, and I think that's really cool for Goosebumps to do that when it doesn't. Carol Ellis does a really good job, again, of mimicking the R.L. Stine writing style. I like to compliment the writers who do that, and I think all of them for the TV books generally can do that. It works well, it's a good read, and I recommend it. If you happen to be collecting TV books and you're looking for ones that might be the easier to find ones, this is one of them, and I do recommend it to you. If you like Cuckoo Clock of Doom's original book, or you like the episode, this is a great one for you to pick up, or to give to somebody else who does, that you happen to know. Anyway, with that being said, what did you think about the book? Did you love it? Do you hate it? Do you like the episode more? Do you like this more? Do you like the original book more? I'd love to hear all that down below, too. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you all, and goodbye. I have a long way I have to reach behind the camera to try to turn this one off, because I have my tripod a little bit further away, so here we go. I'm going to try to do it without just tapping the button and look like an idiot and just staring into you guys. Anyway, thank you guys. God bless you. Goodbye.